The phone hums in the dark. 2 a.m. Their story just a tap away. The screen's cold glow pulls, their absence a sting that doesn't fade. Your finger hovers, scrolls, chasing a flicker of connection. A new post, a fleeting story, a sign they might still see you. You draft a message. Type, delete, type again. Each keystroke a thread weaving you tighter to avoid. You call it a habit. A quick check. Harmless. But it's not harmless. It's a loop, tightening with every glance, every pause, every hope that lingers where it shouldn't. This isn't curiosity. It's clinging to a shadow that slips through your hands. Silent, untouchable. The ego whispers, one more look might prove you mattered, that you weren't erased. But shadows don't speak. They dissolve, leaving you grasping at air. Why keep knocking on a door bolted shut? You believe the next refresh will bring clarity, an answer to why they left. A hint they still carry you in their thoughts. But clarity doesn't live in their silence. It's not hidden in their stories, their likes, their absence. Each tap is a choice to stay tethered, to let their void steer your mind. The ego insists. One more check might show you were enough, might stitch the wound they're leaving tore open. But no post, no story, no signal delivers that proof. The loop spins on, a wheel grinding your center to dust. You're not seeking them. You're seeking a story, one that says their silence isn't your fault. Each scroll carves away what's yours. Not just minutes, not just rest, but the quiet you once held. The space where you stood whole, before their absence became a weight. It grows, this weight, unseen by the world. You function, you nod, you smile through meetings, through meals, but the knot inside tightens, a coil of pain you can't name. It's not their fault. They're gone. It's the reflex, the one that says, keep looking, keep chasing, keep holding, and maybe the ache will explain itself, maybe the loss will make sense. But it doesn't. It deepens, a slow bleed beneath the surface. The system frays, while you pretend it's intact, while you tell yourself you're fine. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." A mind unhooked stands still in the storm. Their silence isn't your chain. Their absence isn't your verdict. The screen is just a screen, a tool, not a tether. The loop is yours to break. You don't need their story to know your worth. You don't need their signal to stand. The reflex pulls, but you can pull back. You can choose to let the shadow pass. What are you holding when you hold on to nothing? Is it them, or the story you've built around their absence? The one that says you're not enough without their answer, that their silence measures your value. Look closer. Peer into the reflex. It's not saving you. It's sinking you, dragging you into a cycle of hope and hurt, where each check, each glance, each unsent word tightens the noose. The choice to stop is already there, waiting in the pause between urge and action. You don't need their echo to be whole. You don't need their weight to move. The first cut is seeing the loop you're in. No explanations, no closure. Just the moment you choose to pause, to breathe, to let the screen go dark. You keep their message, a relic glowing in the dark. Words saved, reread, preserved like proof they once cared. It feels like control, like holding them in your orbit. You tell yourself, if I delete it, they're gone forever. If I let go, I lose what we were. So you cling, tighter, as if the text can rewrite their absence. As if saving it saves you from the void. But what's saved? A thread that binds you to pain. Each glance at those words pulls you deeper into the loop. You think you're keeping a memory, a piece of what was. You're keeping a weight, heavy, silent, dragging you back. The ego insists, this is all you have left. Hold it, or you're nothing. But the message isn't them. It's a shadow. Cold, unchanging, mute. Shadows don't answer. They don't explain. They don't lift the ache. What are you holding when it's just a string of words? A story that says their silence defines you, that their absence measures your worth. The reflex whispers, "Keep it, don't let go, don't lose them." But you're not losing them, they're already gone. You're losing you piece by piece, with every glance that pulls you back. The loop is cruel. It feels like loyalty, like love, but it's neither. It's a tether, one you forged, one you can break. Drop it, delete the thread, not to erase them, not to forget, but to unhook yourself. Their words don't define you. Their silence doesn't judge you. Your choice to let go does. The screen can go dark. The weight can lift. You don't need their echo to stand. You don't need their absence to steer. The reflex pulls, but you can pull back. You can choose to let the shadow dissolve. The space it leaves isn't empty. It's yours. A quiet where you can breathe, where you can SEE. The loop ends when you decide it does. Not with their answer, not with their nod, but with your silence, your choice, your ground. You don't owe anything. Lesson 1. Chasing their shadow. The phone hums, their name a ghost in the glow. You tap, you scroll, you wait for a sign. A new post, a story, a hint. They remember you. Each refresh, a step deeper into the void. You call it harmless, a glance, a moment. But the moment stretches. The glance becomes a chain. This isn't curiosity. It's chasing, a shadow that slips through your hands like smoke. The ego whispers, one more look might show you mattered, that you weren't forgotten. But shadows don't speak. They fade, leaving you grasping at nothing. The cost isn't just time, it's the quiet you lose. Each check buries your center under a weight you can't name. You function, you smile, you move through the day. But the knot inside tightens, a coil of pain that grows with every tap. The reflex says, keep looking, keep hoping, keep digging for proof. Proof they cared, proof you were enough. But the screen stays silent, cold, unyielding. The ache deepens, not because they're gone, but because you're still running after them. You're not chasing them. You're chasing a story, one that says their silence defines you. What does it cost to chase a ghost? The hours you spend scrolling, they're not the real loss. It's the ground you surrender. The space where you once stood whole, before their absence became a mirror. You look into it and see lack, see failure, see a version of you that's not enough. But the mirror lies. Their silence isn't your reflection. Their absence isn't your truth. The reflex pulls, but you can pull back. You can choose to let the shadow pass. Marcus Aurelius said, "It is in your power to withdraw at any moment. Withdraw from the screen, from the hope, from the loop that binds you. Their absence isn't your chain. Their silence isn't your verdict. The reflex is yours to break. Step back. Turn the phone over. Let the glow die. Take one breath, not to calm, but to reset. To anchor in the moment where you stand. To hold without their echo. The shadow doesn't hold you. You hold yourself when you choose to stop. The loop is seductive. It feels like action, like you're closing the gap they're leaving left. But action isn't progress. Chasing their shadow is a treadmill. You run, you sweat, you tire, but you're still in the same place. The ego insists, one more check might change it, might bring them back, might prove you were enough. But the truth cuts colder. What's gone doesn't owe you answers. Every tap is a choice to stay tethered, to let their absence steer. You're not finding them. You're losing you, piece by piece, with every glance that pulls you back. Pause now. Not to think, not to feel, just to see. The screen is just a screen. Their story is just a flicker, a shadow that doesn't define you. You don't need it to know who you are. The reflex wants to pull you back, to make you check again, hope again. But hope isn't truth. Truth doesn't need their validation. Unhook. Let the urge pass, like a wind that doesn't break you. Let the shadow dissolve, like smoke you don't have to grasp. The space it leaves isn't empty. It's where you begin to rebuild, brick by brick, breath by breath. The reflex will return. It always does. A quiet night, a fleeting thought, and the urge to check will rise again. Not because you want them back, but because the pain feels like it needs a reason. You think knowing might loosen the knot, might make the silence make sense, but their story isn't your truth. Chasing it only tightens the chain. Each time you pause, you carve a new path. Not by force, not by forgetting, but by choosing silence over reaction. The screen stays dark, the urge rises, and you let it pass. Not because it's easy, but because it's true. The ego fights this. It wants to run back, to scroll, to hope, to find something that makes the ache make sense. But sense doesn't come from their story. It comes from yours. From the moment you choose to stand, in the quiet, in the truth, in the space you've built. Detachment isn't loss. It's freedom from a story that no longer serves you. You don't need their echo to complete you. You don't need their silence to define you. Withdraw. Let the space grow. Let the quiet hold, like a ground that doesn't shift. You don't have to react. A locked gate doesn't open, no matter how long you knock. The shadow fades. The silence begins to clear. A quiet where you can breathe, where you can stand. The urge lingers. It creeps in at night, when the world is still and your mind isn't. Their last words, their final look, the way they left without a reason, they pull you. You want to understand, to make their absence make sense. But sense doesn't come from their void. It comes from your choice to let the shadow go. The reflex is strong. It feels like truth. Like knowing will loosen the knot. But it's not truth. It's a pull. And you can pull back. Each time you resist, you reclaim a piece of your ground. Not by fighting their silence, not by erasing their memory, but by seeing the loop for what it is, a trap that promises closure but delivers pain. The screen tempts you. One more check, one more hope. But hope in shadows is a weight you don't need. Step back. Breathe through the urge. Let it pass like a wave that doesn't drown you. The reflex wants to keep you tethered, to make you run after a ghost. But you don't need to run. You can stand right where you are. The truth is stark. Their absence isn't your story. It's theirs. You don't need to chase it to know your worth. The ego will argue, will push, will say you're giving up. But detachment isn't surrender. It's power. The power to choose what pulls you and what doesn't. You don't need their story to complete yours. You don't need their silence to define you. Withdraw. Let the space grow. Let the quiet hold, like a ground that doesn't crumble beneath you. The reflex will fight to return. It always does. A song, a place, a fleeting memory, and the urge to check rises again. Not because you want them back, but because the pain feels like it needs a reason. You think knowing might make the silence bearable, but their silence isn't your burden. Each pause builds a new system, one that doesn't run on their absence, one that runs on your presence. The shadow fades, not because they're gone, but because you've stopped chasing it. The gate stays locked, and you walk away. not to forget, but to reclaim what's yours. Stillness is enough. Lesson 2. Explaining to ghosts. The urge to explain, it burns like a coal in your chest. You draft a message in your head. Words sharp, perfect, final. If you could just say it, they'd see. They'd understand. They'd know you weren't the one who failed. The cursor blinks, the keyboard waits, but the words stay unsent. You tell yourself it's closure, one last chance to set the story straight. But it's not closure. It's explaining. To a ghost that doesn't hear, the ego whispers, if they knew your truth, the pain would lift. But ghosts don't answer, and the words only bind you tighter. The cost is silent, but heavy. Each unsent message steals a piece of your ground. You carry the weight of what you didn't say, what you couldn't prove. It sits in your chest, a stone, unseen by the world. You function, you laugh, you move through the day, but the need to explain festers, a wound that won't close. It's not about them. They're gone. It's about the reflex, the one that says, if you could make them see, the loss would make sense. If you could just prove you were enough, the ache would fade. But sense doesn't come from their silence. It comes from yours, from the quiet you choose. What does it cost to speak to a void? The words you draft, the truths you polish, they're not for them. They're for you, to soothe the ego that says you weren't enough. But the ego lies. Their silence isn't your stage. Their absence isn't your script. You don't need their nod to stand. You don't need their answer to be whole. The reflex pulls, but you can pull back. You can choose to let the words dissolve. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't waste your time on what others think. Their mind is not your domain. Their silence is not your burden." The reflex to explain is a loop that spins without end, a wheel grinding your center to dust. You don't need their understanding to stand tall. You don't need their agreement to be whole. Say less, hold the urge, let the cursor blink and fade, not to surrender, not to forget, but to reclaim what's yours. Your ground, your silence, your truth. The loop is cruel. It feels like justice, like proving your worth, like setting the record straight. But explaining to ghosts is a fire that only burns you. The ego insists. One message could change it, could make them see, could make you enough. But the truth is colder. Their silence owes you nothing. Every word you don't send is a choice to stay free, to let their absence be theirs, not yours. Withdraw. Breathe through the need. Let the quiet settle like ash after a blaze. The reflex will pull. It always does. A quiet night, a flicker of their name, and the words rise again, not to send, just to prove, to yourself, to them, to the void. You think one sentence could untie the knot, could make the pain make sense, but the knot tightens because ghosts don't listen. Say less. Let the space grow. Let the silence be your ground, not their stage. The urge to explain, it's not about them. It's about you, about the story you tell yourself, that their understanding will lift the weight, that their nod will make you whole. But you don't need their eyes to see you. You don't need their ears to know your truth. The reflex is a trap. It promises closure, but delivers weight. Each word you hold back is a brick in a new system, one that doesn't run on their absence, one that runs on your presence. Withdraw, not to erase them, not to forget, but to stop the loop. Let the words dissolve, unsaid, unneeded. Their silence isn't your burden. Their absence isn't your script. You don't need their answer to move. The silence is where you rebuild, breath by breath, choice by choice. Silence isn't surrender. Why don't they see me? Their eyes don't measure your ground. The ghost recedes, the silence holds. A quiet where you can stand, where you can breathe. The urge to explain lingers still. A quiet night, a fleeting thought, and the words rise again. Not to send, not to prove, but to fill the void their silence left. You think one sentence could make the pain make sense, could make the loss feel fair, but fairness doesn't come from their answer. It comes from your choice to stop speaking to what's gone. The reflex is persistent. It feels like duty, like a debt you owe the past. But it's not duty. It's explaining to a shadow that doesn't move. The ego whispers, if they knew your truth, the ache would lift. So you draft, you refine, you imagine their reply, their eyes softening, their nod lifting the weight. Each unsent word, a chain you forge alone. It's not their absence that traps you. It's your need to justify it, to prove you were enough. The reflex says, keep proving, keep reaching, keep speaking, and maybe the hurt will fade. But the hurt grows because you're tethered to nothing. What are you proving when the audience is gone? The words you craft, they're not for them. They're for you, to soothe the ego that says you failed. But the ego lies. Their silence isn't your stage. Their absence isn't your script. You don't need their nod to stand. You don't need their answer to be whole. The reflex pulls, but you can pull back. You can choose to let the words dissolve, withdraw, not to erase them, not to forget, but to break the loop. Let the words fade, unspoken, unneeded. Their silence isn't your burden. Their absence isn't your stage. Say less. Breathe through the urge. Let the need pass like a wind that doesn't break you. The reflex says, keep proving, keep speaking. But freedom isn't proving. It's silence. The silence you choose. The truth is cold. You can't control their thoughts. You can control your silence. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Their silence isn't your failure, unless you judge it so. The reflex to explain is a fire you feed. Each word you hold back is a choice to stay free. Step back. Let the space clear. Let the quiet settle where your ground begins. The ego will push. It will say, just one message, just one truth. But truth doesn't need their ears. Truth stands in the silence you choose. The ghost fades, not because you explained, but because you stopped trying. The words you don't send, they don't weaken you. They build you, brick by brick, breath by breath. You can end without drama. Lesson 3. Suppressing the void. The ache sits, heavy, silent, behind your chest. You push it down. Tell yourself it's fine. You work. You laugh. You keep moving, as if motion buries the pain. The world sees strength. They see control. But inside, the void grows. Not loud, not sharp, but steady, like a crack spreading through glass. This isn't healing. It's suppressing a truth that won't stay buried. The ego whispers, keep it hidden, keep it locked, and you'll be fine. But the void doesn't shrink. It waits, it deepens, it festers. The cost is quiet, but crushing. Each time you swallow the ache, you lose a piece of your ground. Not to them, not to their absence, but to yourself. You function, you smile, you carry on, but the weight compounds, a stone you can't set down. It's not their silence that breaks you. It's the reflex, the one that says, hide the hurt, stay strong, don't let it show, and maybe the loss will fade. But the loss doesn't fade. It festers, buried alive, a wound that won't close. What does it cost to bury your truth? The The strength you show, it's not real. It's a mask, one that grows heavier with every ache you push down. The void isn't their absence, it's your refusal to face it. The reflex to suppress is a system that fails. It promises strength, but delivers numbness, a cold that seeps into your bones. You don't need to hide to stand. You don't need to bury to be whole. The ache is not your enemy. The reflex is. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. The void is not their silence, it's your judgment of it. Your refusal to see it. Sit with it. Don't run. Don't push. Just observe the weight, like a stone you can set down. Not to fight it, not to fix it, but to let it be, to let it breathe." The reflex to suppress is a loop that binds you. You don't need to silence the ache to stand tall. You don't need to bury it to be free. The loop is cruel. It feels like power, like you're above the pain, like you've won by not breaking. But suppressing the void is a fire you starve of air. It smolders, it spreads, it burns you from within. The ego insists, keep it down, keep it hidden, keep it gone. You're strong. But the truth is colder. What you bury rules you. Each moment you face the ache is a choice to break the loop. Withdraw from the reflex. Breathe through the weight. Let it be. Like a storm you don't have to chase. The void will press. It will demand you hide it again. It will whisper, don't show it, don't feel it, don't let it break you. But you don't have to hide to be whole. You don't have to suppress to stand. You can see the ache. You can hold it without letting it hold you. The silence isn't your enemy. It's your ground. Step back. Let the quiet settle. The void is where you begin to rebuild, breath by breath, choice by choice. The reflex to suppress, it lingers. A quiet moment, a memory, and the urge to bury rises again. Not to forget, not to heal, but to keep the pain from spilling out. You think hiding it makes you strong, makes you steady. You move, you work, you keep the mask, but the crack spreads. The void doesn't fade, it grows, because suppressing only buries it alive. Sit with it, witness it, let the silence hold. Pain doesn't mean truth. Why do I still feel it? The ache needs no answer. The void lingers, but you've faced it. The silence holds. Your ground forms. The reflex, to suppress, creeps back. A heavy night. A thought. The urge to bury rises. Not to heal, to keep the pain from spilling. Hiding seems strong. You work, you smile, but the crack spreads. Suppressing buries it alive. The ego whispers, hide it, you're fine. But what you bury owns you. Sit with it, not to fix, to witness. The void isn't failure, it's truth. Withdraw, breathe through the weight, like a tide. Strength isn't hiding, it's seeing. Marcus Aurelius wrote, strip away superfluous things. The void is real. Suppressing is what you strip. It delivers numbness. Each moment you face the ache rebuilds. Step back. Let the quiet settle where it can't pull you. You don't need to hide to stand. The void is there. Hold it by observing. The silence is your center, not your enemy. Not doing is power too. Lesson 4. Clinging to their echo. The message glows. Old, untouched, a relic in the dark. You reread it, searching for something new, a hidden meaning, a reason they left. The words don't change, but you keep looking, as if they'll rewrite the past. This isn't memory, it's clinging to an echo that doesn't speak. The ego whispers, hold on, Keep it close, and the pain will make sense. But the echo fades. You're left grasping a void. The cost is heavy. Each glance at those words tightens the knot. Not their knot, yours. You carry the weight of what was said, what wasn't, what might have been. It sits in your chest, silent, unseen. You function, you move, you keep going, but the echo pulls you back. It's not their absence that traps you. It's the reflex. The one that says, hold tighter, keep searching, keep saving, and maybe the loss will explain itself. But the loss doesn't explain. It deepens, because you're tethered to nothing. What does it cost to cling to a ghost? The words you reread, they're not them. They're a shadow, cold, unchanging, mute. You think holding them keeps them close, keeps you whole. But holding is a chain you forge. The ego lies. It says, save it, keep it, don't let go. But the truth is colder. What you grip grips you back. You don't need their words to stand. You don't need their echo to be whole. Marcus Aurelius wrote, what need is there to weep over parts of life? The whole of it calls for tears. The echo is just a part, not the whole. The reflex to cling is a loop that binds you. Delete the thread, not to erase them, but to unhook yourself. Let the screen go dark, like a door you don't need to knock on. The reflex pulls, but you can pull back. You can choose to let the echo dissolve. The loop is cruel. It feels like loyalty, like keeping them alive, like proving you cared. But clinging to their echo is a weight you carry alone. The ego insists, keep it, save it, hold it close. It's all you have. But what you have is you, your ground, your silence, your choice. Each word you let go is a choice to stay free. Withdraw from the reflex. Breathe through the urge, like a wave you don't have to drown in. The reflex says, hold on, don't let go. But freedom isn't holding, it's release. The echo will call. It will tug, it will whisper. Just one more read. A quiet night, a memory, and the urge to reread rises again. Not to find them, not to fix the past, but to make the loss feel less heavy. You think holding on gives it meaning, makes you whole. But the words stay the same. And clinging only tightens the chain. You don't need their words to know your worth. You don't need their echo to move. Step back. Let the space clear. The silence is where you rebuild. The reflex to cling, it's not about them. It's about you, about the story you tell yourself. That their words will lift the weight, that their echo will make you enough. But you don't need their echo to stand. You don't need their words to be free. Delete the thread. Unhook. Let the screen go dark. The silence is your ground, not their echo. The void is where it clears. 80% of people check an ex's profile weekly. It changes nothing. The echo fades. You've seen it now. The silence grows, and with it, a new choice. The reflex to cling hums still. A quiet night, a fleeting memory. The urge to reread rises, not to fix the past, but to make the loss less heavy. You think holding on gives it meaning, keeps you whole, but the words don't change, and clinging tightens the chain. The ego whispers, keep them close, save the echo, and the pain will explain itself. But the pain grows. You're tethered to a void. The loop is subtle. It feels like memory, like loyalty to what was. But it's not memory. It's a trap, pulling you back to a story that's done. You reread, you linger, you search for a sign. Each glance steals a piece of your presence. You function, you move, but the echo binds you. The reflex says, keep searching. The ache will lift, but the ache deepens. You grasp nothing. What are you holding when it's just a shadow. The words you save, they're not them. They're a weight, cold, unchanging, mute. You think holding them keeps you whole, but holding is a chain. The ego lies. It says, save it, don't let go. But you don't need their echo to stand. You don't need their words to be free. Delete the thread, not to forget, to release. Their words are not your worth. Their silence is not your verdict. Withdraw, breathe through the urge, like a wind you don't chase. Freedom isn't holding, it's letting go. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." The echo is a thought you can change. The reflex to cling is what you release. It promises meaning, delivers weight. Each word you let go rebuilds. Step back. Let the screen go dark, where your center holds. The ego will push. It will say, keep it. Don't let go. But you don't need their words to know your truth. You don't need their echo to move. The silence is your ground, not their shadow. Detachment is a form of respect. Lesson 5. Begging for their weight. Their silence sits heavy, like a verdict carved in stone. You want their nod, their reply, their approval. Not to bring them back, not to rewrite the past, but to prove you're enough. You draft a message, linger on their profile, wait for a sign, as if their answer could lift the ache. This isn't hope, it's pleasing, begging for a weight that doesn't belong to you. The ego whispers, their validation will fix the pain, but their silence only deepens the void. The cost is unseen, but crushing. Each moment you seek their approval, you lose your ground. Not to them, not to their absence, but to yourself. You function, you move, you keep going, but the need to please pulls you back. It's not their silence that traps you, it's the reflex. The one that says, keep reaching, keep proving, keep begging, and maybe the rejection will make sense. But rejection doesn't need their answer. It needs your choice to stop chasing their weight. What does it cost to beg for their nod? The glances you steal, the messages you draft, they're not for them. They're for you, to soothe the ego that says you're not enough. But the ego lies. Their silence isn't your measure. Their absence isn't your value. You don't need their nod to stand. You don't need their approval to be whole. The reflex pulls, but you can pull back. You can choose to let the weight dissolve. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Your worth is not in the hands of others. Their silence is not your measure. Their absence is not your value. The reflex to please is a loop that binds you. Withdraw. Center on your breath. Let the urge pass like a shadow you don't chase. You don't need their nod to stand tall. You don't need their answer to be whole. The loop is cruel. It feels like effort, like proving your worth, like earning their gaze. But begging for their weight is a chain you forge alone. The ego insists their answer will make you enough, will lift the ache. But the truth is colder. Their silence owes you nothing. Each moment you let go is a choice to reclaim your ground. Step back, turn the screen off, let the quiet settle where your center holds. The reflex will pull. It will say, just one try, just one sign. A quiet night, a memory, and the urge to seek their nod rises again. Not to win them back, but to make the rejection feel less heavy. You think their approval could loosen the knot, could make the pain mean something. But meaning doesn't come from their silence. It comes from your choice to stop begging for their weight. Withdraw, let the space clear. Let the silence form your truth. The urge to please It's not about them. It's about you. About the story you tell yourself. That their nod will lift the weight. That their approval will make you whole. But you don't need their nod to stand. You don't need their weight to move. Center on your breath. Let the urge pass. Like a wind, you don't chase. The silence is your ground, not their verdict. You don't have to react. The phone is dark. The room holds only your breath. No messages sent, no profiles checked. The silence isn't empty, it's yours. A moment where the urge to chase, to explain, to please, stopped. Not forever, not completely, but just once. Enough to see the ground beneath you. The weight of their absence lingers still. But it doesn't pull you under. You didn't react. You didn't run. You stood in the quiet, in the void, in the space you've carved. Not to forget them, not to erase the pain, but to hold it without letting it steer. The reflex waits, always ready to rise again. But this moment, this breath, is yours to keep. What's left when you don't chase their echo? Not answers, not closure, but presence. A silence that doesn't demand their weight. A ground that doesn't need their nod. You don't have to fill the void. You just have to stand in it, whole, without their verdict. Stillness is a choice that holds.